Great, great kids. I love them like crazy. He meant it. I could see that. He lapsed into silence, misting over as he thought about his family, wondering how the hell he came to be in here without them. He wasn't the first guy to sit in this cell wondering that, and he wouldn't be the last. "We've got a nice place," he said, "out on Beckman Drive. Bought there 5 years ago. A lot of money, but it was worth it. You know Beckman?" "No," I said again. He was afraid to get to the point. Pretty soon he'd be telling me about the wallpaper in the downstairs half bath, and how he planned to pay for his daughter's orthodonture. I let him talk. Prison conversation. "Anyway," he said eventually, "it's all falling apart now." He sat there in his chinos and his polo shirt. He had picked up his white sweater and wrapped it around his shoulders again. Without his glasses, he looked older, more vacant. People who wear glasses, without them, they always look defocused, vulnerable, out in the open, a layer removed. He looked like a tired old man. One leg was thrust forward. I could see the patterned sole of his shoe. What did he call a threat? Some kind of exposure or embarrassment? Something that might blow away the perfect life he had described on Beckman Drive? Maybe it was his wife who was involved in something. Maybe he was covering for her. Maybe she'd been having an affair with the tall dead guy. Maybe lots of things. Maybe anything. Maybe his family was threatened by disgrace, bankruptcy, stigma, cancellation of country club membership. I went around in circles. I didn't live in Hubble's world. I didn't share his frame of reference. I had seen him trembling and shaking with fear, but I had no idea how much it took to make a guy like that afraid. Or how little. When I first saw him at the station house yesterday, he had looked upset and agitated. Since then, he had been from time to time, trembling, paralyzed, staring with fear, sometimes resigned and apathetic, clearly very afraid of something. I leaned on the cell wall and waited for him to tell me what. "They're threatening us," he said again. "If I ever tell anybody what's going on, they said they'll break into our house, round us all up, in my bedroom. They said they'll nail me to the wall and cut my balls off. Then they'll make my wife eat them. Then they'll cut our throats. They said they'll make our children watch. And then they'll do things to them after we're dead that we'll never know about." 7.
Cancelled.
Hubble asked me, "What would you do?" He was staring over at me, waiting for a reply. What would I do? If someone threatened me like that, they would die. I'd rip them apart, either as they spoke, or days, or months, or years later. I would hunt them down and rip them apart. But Hubble couldn't do that. He had a family, 3 hostages waiting to be taken, 3 hostages already taken as soon as the threat was made. "What should I do?" he asked me again. I felt pressure. I had to say something, and my forehead hurt. It was bruising up after the massive impact with the red boy's face. I stepped to the bars and glanced down the row of cells, leaned against the end of the bunk, thought for a moment, came up with the only possible answer. but not the answer Hubble wanted to hear. Nothing you can do, I said. You've been told to keep your mouth shut, so you keep it shut. Don't tell anybody what's going on. Ever. He looked down at his feet, dropped his head into his hands, gave a moan of abject misery, like he was crushed with disappointment. I've got to talk to somebody, he said. I've got to get out of this. I mean it. I've got to get out. I've got to talk to somebody. I shook my head at him. You can't do that, I said. They told you to say nothing, so you say nothing. That way you stay alive. You and your family. He looked up, shuddered. Something very big is going on, he said. I've got to stop it if I can. I shook my head again. If something very big was going on around people who used threats like that, then he was never going to stop it. He was on board, and he was going to stay on board. I smiled a bleak smile at him and shook my head for the third time. He nodded like he understood, like he finally accepted the situation. He went back to rocking and staring at the wall. His eyes were open, red and naked without the gold rims. He sat silently for a long time. I couldn't understand